Hey everybody, hope you're doing great today. This is Paul from This Way to the Aquarium. In today's video, I want to talk about the tools that I use for my fish keeping hobby. These tools are helpful in a variety of different areas. Not everybody needs to use these same tools, but I'm going to show you the tools and how I use them. Some of you might find them helpful depending on the types of aquariums you have set up. Some of these are applicable to certain aquariums, such as planted aquariums, where you do need to get in there, make some adjustments, trim some plants at times. Other equipment are more general purpose in nature. So having these tools on hand can make the aquarium hobby much easier in terms of managing and maintaining your tanks. So probably the top thing I have on my list for tools that I use is the handy dandy fish net. So I recommend everybody have at least one of these. Depending on the size of your fish, you may need a smaller one or you even need a larger one. I keep multiple nets on hand. It helps in a couple different ways. And in a large case, if you got larger fish, easier to pick up, or if you're grabbing multiple fish. Like in the case, I've got juvenile fish over here. Eventually I plan to take them out. As they grow older, they're quickly going to outgrow this tank over here. And I'm either planning on selling them to local people here in my area or trading them into a fish store. So by having a large net like this, especially with a bunch of little small fry, it's easy to kind of scoop them up, lead them into this net over here, grab up more than one at a time, especially when you're dealing with 20, 30 or more fry. Trying to gather them all up one at a time is going to be a long and slow process. Whereas if you can get more than one in this net over here, it'll make it much easier. So getting good quality nets is important. So some of the cheaper nets you might get might have a problem with snagging your fish in the nets, and so when you need to get them out, their fish scales get stuck in there or their fins get stuck in there, and then it makes it a little more difficult to release them. They could get injured. So make sure you go with good quality nets. These are easy to wash, easy to reuse, they last a lifetime, so no reason to cheap out on these. So another handy tool to have to help with water change is the handy dandy siphon. So this is the Python brand of siphon. There are other brands of siphons available. You don't have to use this particular one. But what they end up doing is helping you clean out the tanks. So basically you've got this larger piece over here, can come close to the gravel, come close to the sand. You can kind of swirl it around in there. You can pick up any debris that's on the surface of the sand or the gravel, and then that gets sucked out of the tank. Helps keep your tank clean, allows you to do your water changes as well too. So this one I have right now, it's about a 6-foot pipe, 6-foot tube. So it's obviously going to be drained into a bucket. So because my tanks aren't close to a sink anywhere nearby here, you can buy longer ones of these Pythons and other brands. They come in 25, 50 feet, even I think 75 feet. So with those, you can actually connect those up to your sink over there, start the siphon with the sink, turn around, change the setting, and then rather than siphoning, you're actually adding water from your faucet back into the tank. You do need to treat that water if it's not already been pre-filtered, whereas you have some filter on your taps taking out the chlorine. So you do need to add chemicals to your tank to make sure that chloramines don't harm your fish. Another thing I recommend is the handy dandy aquarium cleaner. This is basically a magnet. You've got some powerful magnets in there that joins together. So you're putting one part of this into the inside of the tank. The other one goes outside in the front of the glass, and basically slide it up and down and around your tank to clean the aquarium. Basically what this does is helping you clean off that algae off of your aquarium. It does it pretty quick, pretty easy to do, and it's only minimal getting your hands wet. So with the magnetic scraper, you want to make sure you gently come in, bring them close together. You don't want to slap them together. You do run the risk of cracking the glass. But once it's installed, it's just a matter of sliding back and forth, up and down. You can see how well it cleans everything. So with this one too, this one is actually meant for acrylic aquariums. It's got soft padding on each side, so that way it doesn't scratch it. Whereas this particular Aquarium brand, comes with a mount where it mounts on top of the other magnet in there, the blue side, and that's got a much more abrasive cleaner, and that's meant for cleaning your glass aquarium, since your glass isn't going to scratch as easy as your acrylic will. But in my case, I just use the same one for the glass aquarium. It works fine, doesn't really cause much of an issue. So as you can see, it's much cleaner now. It does scrape up quite a bit of algae. With the magnet cleaner, some people like to have multiple ones for each tank when you've got multiple tanks like I do. In my case, I just use one for each tank. After I'm done cleaning one, I will wash it off, take off all the algae on the cleaning side, let it dry out for a couple of days, and then when ready I can use it on another tank. So the reason some people don't want to use it, the same one on multiple tanks, is that there is always that possibility of contamination. And yes, I do run that risk in my tank, but in this case, I'm familiar with these tanks. I don't have any issues right now, so I'm comfortable using one for multiple different tanks. So alongside with the magnet cleaner that I showed you over there, you can also get a scraper. So these scrapers, I've got two over here. This one's actually extendable, so depending on the depth of your tank, you can add some attachments on it. It's easy to make it longer, make it shorter, depending on how big your tank is. And with this too, it's long enough you don't even have to get your hands wet, and you can clean around, scrape around. It's basically got a straight razor on it, and with this straight razor, you just scrape the sides of your glass and take off any algae in the meantime. This can be used for a little finer work, whereas the magnet can kind of miss in certain areas, might not do the greatest jobs if something is really stuck on there. This one will actually help you get it and clean it out. I've seen with my nearest snails who will put eggs on the glass, the magnet cleaner will not take care of that, but this will easily take those out and help you clean the aquarium out. You can see with this that there's still some algae left over here. There's especially this area over here, there's got sand in there, so I really didn't want to get down too into this area because the fish do kind of redecorate things in here. These are shell dwellers. So in this case, I'm going to use my scraper over here just to kind of fine tune it. And the nice thing about this too is if I wanted to, I could also get in it on the sides over here, where in the case of this tank, you can see it's pretty close over here, so getting a magnet in there and moving it around will be pretty difficult. So if I really wanted to clean the sides of the tank, which I'm not planning to right now, but if I really wanted to, I could use this, and even the back of the tank too, I could scrape it with this. So it's just a matter of inserting it and just scraping away the algae. So it does a pretty good job of taking the algae away. Now if you really wanted to, combine that with the siphon that I showed earlier, and with the siphon you can siphon off all this algae as well too. It is very sharp, so be careful when handling it. Easy to cut yourself. And at the same time too, when you are in and around this tank, avoid the corners over here where you have the silicone. So I just stay away from those, stay at least like a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, if not more. You don't want to cut into the silicone over there and ruin the seals on your tank. That would be a mistake in happening, and that could weaken the seals and cause your aquarium to eventually leak out. So another handy tool to have around on you, especially if you got multiple aquariums, even if you got a single aquarium and you just need to double check the temperature, I recommend a instant read thermometer. So basically this is an electronic thermometer that, you know, the instant you put it in your tank, it's going to give you a reading. It's going to let you know what the exact temperature is. That way you can double check if you have any other external electronic thermometers, which we know sometimes can fail, sometimes they're not accurate. So having more than one source to read the temperatures in your tank is helpful. So an instant read thermometer is highly recommended on my list. Another tool I recommend are tube brushes. So these are a variety of sizes of different tube brushes here. As you can see, they come in different sizes. Flexible as well too, so they bend. You're not going to cause any harm to them when they bend. So the great thing about these is, you know, when you've got one of these tubes like this over here, it gets clogged up with algae or any other debris that's connected to your sponge filters or any other types of filters, just stick your brush in there, clean it out, you're good to go with your riser tubes on your sponge filters. These tube brushes come pretty cheap. I believe I bought them for about $7, $8 from Amazon. Work great, different sizes for different kinds of tubes. Even if you have those hang-on back aquarium filters, you've got tubes there where your intake tubes, or your canister filters, you've got intake tubes as well too that might need cleaning. So something like this can help you out. For those of us who have live plants in our aquariums, some other great things to get are landscaping tools. So basically tools like this, it's a little triangle piece, useful for smoothing out the sand, moving sand away, moving debris out of the way when you're planting plants. A pair of scissors here, long scissors that can reach down in the tank there and fine tune your plants, trim them where need be, and then tweezers as well. These tweezers are great for taking plants, basically grab them by the root area close to the stem where the base of the plant is going to be, and just putting that into the sand, into the gravel, whatever substrate you have. It helps with getting it in there a little more precisely, and you're making less of a mess, whereas if you're taking it with your hand trying to shove everything in there, you can kick up a lot of debris. So these landscaping tools are helpful. Another nice thing with the tweezer here is that if you do happen to have a dead fish or another dead animal in your tank, and easy way to get them out, I'll just reach in there, gently pick them out, take them out for however we want to dispose of them, and you don't have to get your hands messy on that. So there's another plus for the tweezer tool over here as well too. When it comes to adding medicines to your aquarium, getting them in the right dosage, the right amount for your aquarium is helpful. So this right here is something that you should have on hand. Basically, it's a measuring shot glass. In this case, it has ounces, it has teaspoons, tablespoons, breaks it down into milliliters as well too. No matter what the measurement is for the aquarium medication, this will help you over here measure it out. Follow the instructions using the amount that you need, and you'll be ensuring that you're treating your aquarium well, putting only the right amount of chemicals in there that you need to. As we know, overdosing some of these chemicals can cause quite a bit of harm to our aquariums as well. Well, if you're going away for a couple days of vacation, 2-3 days, depending on the size of your fish, the age of your fish, you can usually get by with not feeding them. So in my case, when I do feedings for my fish, I do skip one day a week, be a random day. And I just do that because the fish do not need to be eating every day of the week. So when you do go on a longer vacation though, more than a couple days, you might want to get an automatic fish feeder. So I've got something like this over here. It's a timed automatic fish feeder. You put in the food that you like, open up the slot over here that controls the quantity of food you put in, and then pop it on your tank, and then it will automatically feed your fish based on the schedule you set. So you can have it feeding multiple times a day, you can have it feeding a couple times a week. Especially when going away on vacation, in my opinion, it's better to feed them a couple times a week. We're not around to monitor the feeding, so it's better to feed them a couple times a week. Less chances of overfeeding them, polluting the tank, causing other issues with your aquarium water, your aquarium cycle. So another important tool to have are your test kits. So I use test strips for testing my tanks. They are the liquid reagent types, where you're mixing aquarium water with some reagents and then checking the color levels to see where your nitrites are, where your nitrates are, and if you have any ammonia in the tank. So especially when you have sick fish or fish that have died for whatever reason, testing your water is always important. It lets you know if there's any issues going on with the tank cycle. The sooner you're able to catch and fix a tank cycle issue, the quicker your fish can recover from any stress or injuries that are suffering from that. Now obviously if you don't have any of those issues, your cycle is fine, no nitrite issues, no nitrate issues, no ammonia issues, then that leads you on to going to figure out what else is causing issues with your fish to cause them to be sick or die. Testing is particularly important when you start off a new tank. I test on a daily basis, especially if there's fish in there. I want to check, make sure my levels aren't going out of whack. If anything's happened to the tank, after I do a water change as well, the next day I'll check the water parameters just to make sure nothing's gone out of whack with my water change. So just want to be safe rather than sorry. Keep on top of everything, and that way you have a healthy aquarium environment. So drop your thoughts in the comments below. Are there any tools that you think I missed that you used and find very important to use for your aquariums? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.